guys, Winter Wolf here. King Z is going to be on another camera right quick, and we're going to be doing Secret Invasion Episode 3, and we're doing it next. Hey, there he is over there. Dude, what's going on, man?
What's happening? What's happening?
Dude,
look at, we already got the warning going because we know what we're talking about today. We're talking
we're
about
gonna
Episode 3.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into that because I think this is going to be a tipping point for at least one of us. So with no further ado, other than saying, thank you, King Z, for showing up Wednesdays, 9:30 Eastern at the Winter Wolf's Den, so we can do Marvel's Secret Invasion, the latest, air quote, offering from MCU on Disney Plus, and I air quoted the hell out of that on purpose because, dude, my initial thought, dude, I think this is where I'm starting to consider pull. That thing on the bus where you pull the cord and then the driver makes the unscheduled stop. That I think this is the episode that's getting me to look for the cord. Initial thought without blowing up everything just yet. What did you think overall, though?
I thought this was a filler episode where they didn't have time for a filler episode.
Ooh, okay. So see, right then and there, I think we're having the beginnings of some fears confirmed then, because I think one of our pre-show concerns here was not the runtime, but like the episode spread. The number of episodes itself, it was only 6, and I don't think that's enough to pull off a substantial spy thrillery, who can punch the villain the hardest at the end to say kind of story. I think this probably deserved 8 or 10. Like an actual cable or streaming show.
Andor run. It needed 12.
Oh, dude, I mean, there you go. Like I was
Let me get my mic over here.
The comparison.
Put my mic in front of me.
There you go. Now I can turn the volume down on my headset because now I'm deaf. But there we go. But I think there's some writing on the wall. I haven't translated it just yet, but I don't think I liked most of what I saw in episode 3 today, and I got a couple of pet peeves that we'll get into. What did you think of the 44-minute runtime? Was that just salt in the wound in terms of progression, or did you not care because it was filler?
And you have to remember that 44 is a soft number. You had you had a minute 11 of recap. Then you had the cold open, which was about 40 seconds to a minute and a half. Then you had the title, the intro, and then you had 4 minutes and 38 seconds of ending credits. So technically, you're looking at like 37 minutes of actual showtime in this.
Good. And let me ask you this, Red. Even with 37 minutes, for me, I was bored. This was the first time during this particular show's run that I pulled the phone out. I wanted to check a couple of other, check Facebook, check to see if we had any shorts, any action on the shorts that we put up last week, just regular checking the phone stuff. And hand to God, that had not happened episodes 1 and 2. So I mean, and I caught myself. That was the best part. As I was sitting there and the phone was on the arm of the couch, and I was like, picked it up, like I was just doing any old other thing, watching Better Call Saul for the millionth time. And I was like, oh damn, oh no, it happened. I picked the phone up. Oh fuck, here we go. And I was like, oh gee. And then it killed me because then when I looked back up at the screen, I didn't miss anything. I was like, oh, okay, this is still going on.
The big takeaways from this one was Talos. You're seeing a change in Talos. Like it's finally weighing on him. So that was a good thing, seeing a change in him. And then you finally find out what side Gaia is on.
Talos' daughter, Gaia. Yep.
Yeah. But
see, go ahead.
But one thing I wanted to talk about, which actually we're going to go back to episode 2 for a second here. We were talking about the harvest, and we're talking about the DNA that they found. And I did some more deep dive into this, the Super Skrulls, and then that DNA. So let's. I'm going to put up one of the pictures. So you have three. You have 3 right here. You have Groot, you have Frost Beast, and you have Obsidian. If you remember, those are Groot. Of course, we all know Groot from Guardians. Frost Beast is from the post-credit scene of Thor 2. And what is it? What of its powers? It's invisible.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Obsidian.
Right. That's a throwback, yeah.
Yeah, Obsidian is strong, and he's kind of scaly, like, I would say, like a rock. Now, one more picture. Let me bring up picture 2 here real quick. We have Extremis. Now, I had to go back, and I told you guys last week that Extremis is the Mark 42 Iron Man suit. But before that, in Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, it was the weapon of aim, which was the fire.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, true. I'm glad you fact checked that because I wasn't sure. And I think I also got the Call Obsidian reference thing also. That it was one of Thanos' guys.
Yep.
It was his giant bruiser that ended up getting he was the one that was decapitated by the portal, I think. I think that was it.
Well, he died twice, yeah. But Now,
so they're doing what you said, though. To your credit, you were absolutely right. The machine is 100% doing exactly what you thought. And I think for what we've kind of put our heads together with in one of our other shows, the reason they're probably going that particular route is to offset the cost of what it would take to actually bring actors into play the characters that they would have otherwise lifted certain powers from the print run.
It goes further than that.
Uh-oh.
So look at the 4 that we named. Groot. What does Groot do? Yep. He grows. He stretches.
Mm-hmm.
We have Frostbeast, who's invisible. You have Cole, who's strong and kind of like a rock. And then you have Extremis, who is like fire. Who does that sound like?
Wop, wop.
And
you think there's a tie in here? Do you honestly think they're pulling the trigger in like a post-credit scene at the end of this show?
But
I don't think they have the balls or the know-how. I'll say it.
But also, the Super Skrulls' first showing in the comic books is Fantastic Four.
It's F4. Nice. Okay. All right. I mean, this is the thing. You're familiar with the Joel Abercrombie and the Blade itself. Say one thing for King Z. Say he knows his predictions. That's my Logan Nine Fingers reference for King Z today. I've rated your predictions. I think I'm keeping a running tally somewhere. Right now, you're at about 83% correct. So we'll ride this one out, dude. If you're calling a Fantastic Four reference in the deep cut, fine. I'll give you the Fantastic Four reference in the deep cut, and we'll take it. That'll work for me.
But one more. The secret Skrull powers in the comic book are stretching, fire, shields, invisibility, and super strength.
Oh, then it sounds like they're nailing it all down to the most budget-friendly way that they could probably get away with doing it. Which, again, the small screen is not the silver screen. There's a 0% chance that they were getting any kind of big money to do. I mean, this isn't Amazon with Rings of Power, where they're just going to shovel $30 million an episode at this show. That's not going to happen, especially on a 6-episode run. That was never going to be. That was never going to be how they were going to do business here. But let's talk synopsis of the episode just real quick. I really don't want to go scene by scene because I don't think there's enough interesting stuff here to unpack unless you really want to nail down something scene by scene. You can just stop us as we go. And of course, thank you. Kings D and I do deal in spoiler alerts when we do these breakdowns and recaps, so you've been warned. If you have not seen Secret Invasion Episode 3, check out, go watch it. It'll only take you about 45 minutes if you cut the trailers like King Z said. And then in the show, we'll still be here talking about it anyway. You can catch up to us and let us know in the comments what you thought of the episode. Because I've also, before we even do the synopsis, we're just following various channels and various fan pages on all our regular haunts. I think the decision is kind of split on this show, which again is eerily similar to how Andor went down. Because we had a lot of people telling us that a lot of people really polarized by that show as well.
Yeah.
It's too slow. There's no Jedi. There's not enough action. I don't know who Andor is. Like all those things. I think a lot of people that are super casual here, they might know who Nick Fury is because they've seen him around, but because this is his first solo thing outside of Captain Marvel where he had a fairly prominent role, and not everybody saw Captain Marvel for whatever reason. So I think that this show was already off to a bum foot no matter how it was going to get cut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's just how that was going to go down. But scene by scene, I don't think there was enough here to unpack how we typically do. So the general consensus of the episode is, Fury and Talos are kind of reconciling differences after they have like a minor little fallout.
Yeah.
Fury and his wife are reconciling a little bit of differences after he's finally back after 5 years.
I think they went further apart.
Or that's what I'm trying to reconcile.
Yeah.
They had to. By the end of the episode, I think we're a little not knowing what's going on. We get some decent, well, not decent, but we get an ample amount of development between. Development of what Gravik's plan is. He actually reveals the machine to members of the Skrull Council, lets them know exactly. Like it's kind of boring on heavy-handed. He tells them almost word for word, like reading it out of the script guide. I have this machine. It will make us super Skrulls. Then we will defeat Earth's mightiest heroes, and they will turn on themselves. And I'm like, okay, right, we get that. We get another big kind of character death, and I'm air quoting the hell out of that because this is Marvel.
It's a Marvel death. It's not an Agent Hill death.
It's a Marvel death in general, which literally means that unless you see the body vaporized in real time, and the one above all comes down and says not coming back, they can come back. You know what I mean? I think we're there. And then we get if it was any other show, I would have probably liked it more. But we get Nick Fury's wife going to a safe deposit box after getting a call from who I thought was Rhodey, or maybe a Skrull imitating Rhodey. I thought that's who that was. And getting a gun out of a safe deposit box at a very posh-looking bank.
Yep, and then he tries
to go somewhere.
And then he tries to call Gravik.
Right.
So
that's right. That's the more important part, right?
Yeah, and then what she was hinting at earlier in the first scene was like she was figuring out who she was, and she went back to who she was before him, which could make you believe that the gun was actually go take out Nick Fury, is her orders from Gravik.
But okay, so who am I wrong? Was that not Rhodey that was on the phone that had her go to the bank to pick up the box? I thought that was Rhodey. I'd have to go back and watch it, but I thought that's who called her up.
I remember who she, but now going with a lot of people's speculation, Rhodey is a Skrull.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think you and I we hinted at that at the beginning, that either the president of the United States or Rhodey was likely a Skrull in this, or both.
Yeah.
Was likely a Skrull. And that's possible. And I think that'll be the thing where it comes. I hope we don't get into that thing where, like, at the end of the show, it comes down to a Skrull impersonating Fury, and then Fury's wife has to shoot one of them. And it's the whole, which one is it? And it's the one that says, "Shoot me." You can't. You know, I mean, you can't let him shoot us both. You can't let it risk it. You know what I mean?
It's going to come down. It's going to come down to the toast. Knowing which side you butter your toast.
Yeah, dude, it will. And then I'm going to be super disappointed that they banked on such stupid, cliched, tropey shit. But
well, I mean, they hit it on the head. They hit the trope on the head. I mean, with the 50-pound hammer on this one. And what I'm going to talk about is like how he discovered who the mole was, who set him up to begin with. Because you have the scene with Gravik and Emily Clark's character, Gaia. And he was like, there are only 5 of us knew. And it was like, it was him. And he's like, okay. He's like, you're with me in the morning. And then he says some point of intel on a phone in front of her. And then that intel plays out in the majority of the episode. And then he knows who the mole is. I mean, it's classic spy one-on-one. If you think you have a mole and you have 1,000 people and you tell 5 people something and then they act on it, then you just narrow that 1,000 to 5. He took his 5 and narrowed it to 1.
Yeah, in one move.
Yeah.
and like you said, dude, one very telegraphed, heavy-handed, on the nose. I mean, telegraphed like an Undertaker clothesline, winding up while the other guy's halfway across the ring. So, I mean, and this is what I mean, where I was saying at the beginning of our show, I'm not off the bus yet, but I'm picking up my bag, I'm putting my phone in my pocket, and I'm looking for the whatever. I don't ride buses like that. It's been a hot minute. Pulling the cord to get the stop. Because I feel like this is exactly the stuff we're talking about. I feel like the people that write these shows might have watched a couple of other things in genre, and then they rely on those conventions without elevating them in any way, without layering them within some nuance or some subtlety, and they just like, oh, I saw this here, so we have to do this. Oh, I saw this in a spy movie where he was actually a triple-double secret agent who was working for the president. Like, we're fans of the genre. We know what the conventions are, but it's kind of your job to not spoon-feed us these things. And I think this is the first episode where a lot of it is just now like, okay, open, and you're feeding a toddler. And it's not cool because it didn't start that way for me. You might be totally different on it, and that's cool.
And no, I'm just saying that the writer for this, who is like pretty much heavy-handed feeding us, is a guy who has a good pedigree for writing. I mean, he wrote 44 episodes of Mr. Robot.
Well, then I don't know what to say. I mean, maybe this is an indictment of how Disney, as a producing studio, kind of dictates what they need to happen, and then they lay bad time constraints and other things on you that limit your effect. I don't know. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how to write the defense, but I think
Yeah.
the writing in this episode went off a cliff. And I'll mention my first pet peeve here. The conversation between Fury and Talos at every junction in this episode was like 1,000 nails on 1,000 chalkboards to me.
It was always so intense. There was no. It was either really levity or there was so intense that they were like biting each other's nose off.
And super juvenile in the delivery. Like,
Yeah.
you're talking about dudes that are spies in their golden years, I guess, or, you know, past retirement, but past their prime, but still not, like, they're still here. I mean, they're still a certain kind of guy.
Yeah.
And they're talking like 16-year-old girls that are having a disagreement in the hallway between classes.
We did that.
Yeah, I'm like, no. It felt wrong, dude. Like, the tone here that they missed is everything that Skarsgård, to use another Andor example, to do everything Skarsgård did as Luthen in Andor.
Mm-hmm.
Some menace, some grit, some understanding that there's a cold reality and a cost to be fucking paid for the secret war you're in.
Yeah.
And these two sound like fucking buffoons in a Beavis and Butthead episode.
It looked like he wanted the credit for what Fury did, which Fury does own the credit, and Fury's the one who got all the accolades, and he had behind the scenes. That's the one thing Skarsgård's character never wanted. He didn't want the accolades. He wanted results.
Yep. Dude, you
couldn't
have said that part better.
That was the totally different aspect of these, is that one wants the recognition that he didn't get now, and then he has you have one who doesn't want the recognition, who just wants the results. And like he was blaming like his existence, him not being the general anymore, because he sided with Fury, and he's upset that he's not getting the attaboy pat on the back at this point.
See, that's what I mean. This is where I can tell that I expect more from writing. It doesn't matter what the project is. It doesn't matter the age group that it's leveled at. There's just no excuse for, how can I put this without just completely sounding like a dick about it? Like, there's no excuse for half-assing it or not being able to write outside your own personal viewpoint. And what I mean by that is, I feel like people putting together this show now, they're not able to get inside the head of a 65-year-old secret agent and speak how he would speak in a particular situation. You know, and maybe this is why people say, you know, people try to tell writers, hey, you guys need to stay in your lane. You can't write an experience that you haven't lived. And I always thought that just kind of meant, you know, as a white guy, you don't do the what it feels like to be a black guy driving and getting pulled over for having done nothing wrong thing, which is true. Yeah. But when we're talking about fiction, telling people to write what you know means we don't get things like Star Trek. We don't get things like Jurassic Park. We don't get things like Interview with the Vampire. You know what I mean? Like, it's fiction. So you can imagine anything and put that on paper and then hopefully get it on the screen. But at some point or another, it behooves you, like when we were talking about medical and military experts last week.
Yeah.
The people writing this should probably have sat down and talked with some former intelligence agents, you know, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, whomever, or, you know, just even general detectives at, you know, at the state police level, local jurisdiction, whatever, and just understand how these guys, how their minds work, how the execution of their jobs work, what being partners is like. And then run it through a framework of what you would sound like as a fucking grown-up and not a 25-year-old rookie.
Yeah. Now, what I can say nice about Thalos is he finally found his backbone, because we finally had that meet that they set up in episode 2 between the former council member and Talos, and with Gravik, and they go into a public place,
posh restaurant.
Well, it started off in the art gallery where he was talking about do you want to be the person who's known in murals who pose for a painting, or do you want to be the soldier out there who writes history with his blood? He's like, I would take blood every day, which is a great line, even though
that was the strongest scene in the show.
But the best part was when Talos came up and he took that knife at the end, and because he said his daughter's name again, he put that knife dead in the middle of his hand and then was choking him out. I was like, my daughter's name stays out of your mouth forever. Yep. And then walks out. I'm like, that he found his backbone a little bit.
Dude, listen. This is one of those things where I got to do the classic winter wolf split, right? I'm torn at that part of the scene because everything in the gallery was good.
Yeah.
We got Talos's side of things about, better, like you said, to be remembered in blood than on an ink painting and having done nothing.
Yeah.
And I would sacrifice all the blood. And then Talos is like, everybody's blood? Yeah, that's what got us here in the first fucking place. So you got the other side of the war argument right then and there.
Yeah.
But Talos as a general wanted peace. He didn't want the fight, didn't want the blood. He wanted it to be over and his people to have a place. Other dudes like, no, we're going to nuke this whole thing and just call it. But see, it falls apart for me in the restaurant. I like the boss move. He gave him a chance because he started to get up at one point, and then the other Skrulls kind of in the thumbnail I did up, which is I thought funny.
Yeah.
I know it's bad Photoshop, but whatever, guys, deal with it. He rises up at the first, but then they sit down and they simmer. But then he gets up and he jabs him in the hand like a boss move. But dude, for me, it was too slow. Like he stood up, he jabbed him a little slow. He kind of do-si-doed over to him, and the weirdest choke move I've ever seen. But the part where it really falls apart for me is the 15 Skrulls that were in there that had just flexed on him 5 seconons ago.
Just let that happen. Just let it happen.
Dude, stop it. This is your guy. You guys are like a fucking cult. Like, this isn't like a Boy Scouts of America meeting. Like, where are the guns? You could have smoked this dude, and he'd have never walked out, and nobody would have known.
Yep.
That should have been the play. But you're like, this is typical Marvel. You've neutered your otherwise, because we've said this. Gravik is a kind of intimidating villain in this show. He's just unhinged enough to be intimidating. He's physically imposing it in combat, and he's got a zealot's ideology. Like that's a trifecta of shit you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't want to carve his spot of the world out. He wants the entire world.
He wants the whole right. So that's what I'm saying. So you've now neutered him by this dude shanked you in the hand, choked you in front of a dozen of your boys, and then just fixed his tie and walked out like he owned the joint, and nothing came of it. You walked outside 15 minutes later when it was safe. It's like the whole thing. Like you've got a brother, like when younger brother used to hide behind you, be like, hold me back, when he was trying to go with somebody else and you were blocking him. That's what that was.
You're like, he's holding me back.
You
Mighty Ducks.
Dude, everything from the 80s had that scene with older brother, younger brother. I have distinct memories of 3 of my younger brothers doing that. You guys know who you are, It's wild. So it was like it hit a high in the gallery, and then whoop.
But you have to think there has to be some reason why they haven't taken him out of the picture at this point. So. There's something that's holding them back.
They're going to double him. They'll take him at some point. But again, that was the opportunity to take him to double him. Like, that was it. They could have just taken him. They don't even need to take him to double him, except to get him out of play. They can double him at will, right? They really just need to collect you to get you off the board. But yeah, no, I thought that the gallery part was the strongest part of the show. Weakest part of the show for me, the raid on I think he was an admiral. He was a Royal Navy admiral.
Royal Navy commander or something. Yeah,
he was somebody with some balls.
Because it was a Royal Navy ship that was trying to shoot down the plane. So
that's what I thought. Now, see, I have multiple concerns with this entire setup. Right, first of all, it was a nuclear submarine. It wasn't a above sea level ship per se. Right?
Yeah,
I believe it was a nuclear submarine. Now, as a former military professional, is it common practice to use submarines to shoot down moving planes with nuclear missiles?
They wouldn't use a nuclear missile, but they do. They have AI.
They have anti-aircraft weaponry on subs? Okay,
yes, they do.
Did not know. Okay, thank you. Did not know. Thank you for setting the record straight.
Yeah, it's kind of like how they launch a Tomahawk missile from. So it would come out and then it would seek the aircraft and fire a SAM-type missile.
I didn't realize it had guidance for that kind. And I understand they hit like a stationary, land-based target like a city or a port. I understood that, but a moving target as small as a plane, I had no idea. For me in my head, I'm like, couldn't they have just scrambled 2 jets off an aircraft carrier to intercept the UN-1 plane or whatever? But whatever, you cleared that up, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
that's why we bring you in for these things. Right. But you're not going to be able to excuse this next part. So they make the run on the Admiral's mansion, townhouse, whatever. Talos does a little impersonating, but his cover's blown. Fury goes in hot. So Fury just starts hotting dudes. Blah, blah, blah.
And you see that they're Skrulls.
But you see their Skrulls after he shoots them. How did they know? So they were just ready to just start shooting uniformed personnel just to get the job done. They then shoot other people in the house to get to the Admiral, with like extreme prejudice.
Yep.
And then Fury takes a 10-year-old playing Fortnite or whatever racing game it was, takes him hostage to have the Mexican standoff. And I'm like, the fuck is going on in this show? Like, are you guys not the good guys? Because you're not acting like the good guys here. I mean, the uniform security, occupational hazard. Taking the kid, dick move, but I guess you need leverage somehow. But he took the kid hostage. Oh no, I guess he knew Talos had been compromised because the whole nobody ever calls me Nick.
Yeah.
So he knew, so he had to have leverage going. So I guess that's a little less pissy now that I think of that. But like, that's now the second time Talos has gotten his ass kicked in hand-to-hand combat
By another Skrull.
By another Skrull, and Fury had to bail him out. And then we get to some backbone here and talk about the backbone, because I too was like, okay, he's like, this other dude mentioned Gaia as well, and now this dude's just stabbing people and
shooting people. Yeah, so they're trying to interrogate them because
what are they trying to stop?
They're trying to stop the submarine from launching on this plane. And going back, I think they were going to use a nuclear missile now, saying that a nuclear missile cannot hit because they needed the two people to turn the key.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
So that wouldn't have been a thing to take out a plane. I mean, technically it could, because all you would need is to launch it straight up and have it airburst, and then the EMP would take the plane out.
Yeah, right. No ICBM needs a direct hit.
Yeah. I mean, you would never have a direct to the ICBM. The way they set it up with air disperse is that it would be a air burst explosion to fry everything.
Right.
Because
so much force down to flatten and burn.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they wanted? They wanted the dramatics of Crimson Tide with the two missile keys and the ready go position, and everybody turned at the same time on 3.
Yeah,
they want that. Like they even went so far as to mimic the procedure. Like the code's authenticated, we have to strike. I think that's like a direct line from Crimson Tide.
Yeah,
like that verbiage. But so they're trying to stop that strike on a UN ship that has everybody that
like a UN delegation going somewhere.
Right.
They weren't too specific of who was on the plane.
Right. It was a decapitate the leadership kind of plan from the terrorist group. Is what it was. So Talos, your buddy.
So Talos is trying to get the cancel password, which I guess an admiral has their own cancel password.
I guess.
But it could be Royal Navy. I don't know Royal Navy. They could have stuff like that. So a cancel password to abort the mission and call it an exercise, which is a smart thing to do to cover it.
I thought that was clever. I gave them the tip of the hat there. Yep.
But the guy wasn't talking. He brings up like they were just being completely stonewalled, so he just shoots him, and then uses his daughter, who is currently in bed with the bad guy. Like she's on their base, so there's pretty much we're burning you.
Talos calls Gaia.
Yeah, straight.
Yep.
So it's pretty much they're burning her cover as the intel. I mean, which he already figured out anyways because she's stupid enough to stop the attack when it was so heavy-handed. Oh, he made so many mistakes.
Yep.
And then so she runs in there and she starts going through the guy's memory trying to find the password and realize, oh, he loves his son, so his password must be his son's name.
Dude, that was borderline dumber than anything on the Willow series that you didn't watch on Disney Plus. Number one, if I can't use my kid's name at my work password, there's a 0% chance, that anybody working at the highest levels of like military command is able to use exclamation password number 1 as their password, or their kid's name, or their birthday. I'm sorry, that was stupid.
And England is not as a dumb nuclear power. I mean, even our codes rotate. It changes.
Frequently.
Yeah, like multiple times per day, just in case someone's compromised.
Now, I think at this time, Winterwolf then should include our standard disclaimer that Kingsley and Winterwolf are not in fact government operatives of any kind, and nor are we authorized to speak on military or nuclear security. Thank you.
They wouldn't use something so pedestrian to stop a nuclear attack.
Pedestrian guy. It was on the level of the scene from Spaceballs where the president's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a password on my luggage.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it was that fucking stupid. I'm sorry. It just was. It just was.
But they get in the nick of time, they cut it, and you just see the Skrull person on the ship try to stop him from aborting, even though the abort order has already come over the loudspeaker. I don't know who's on 1MC. When the captain has to turn the key, he's supposed to be on 1MC that says
like
abort,
they only
abort.
watched half of Crimson Tide. They only watched half of it. They actually didn't see the end of the movie where Gene Hackman has to order the stand down. You know what I mean? Like
it reminds me of like when I was talking about that movie that I worked on where they started throwing out acronyms to throw out acronyms. I'm like, this isn't how it works at all.
It's like they took a bowl of alphabet soup and just slung it on the storyboard, and they're like, all right, those 3 letters are together, we're going to use that. These 3 together, we're going to use that. Dude, I feel you, dude. I tell you, whenever they do the medical shit, I feel the same way. Like when they're telling me, we're injecting this at this site for this purpose, and I'm like, I mean, there's off-label uses of everything, but that's that's not a thing, not for this. And then, but they just run with it, dude. It's wild, man. It's wild.
Yes,
but
it is. It's beyond belief that this got through editors. That, I mean, if you look at it, I think the writing room is 7 people. So there's one person who's controlling the story, and then there's like 7 staff writers. And I think that's just because he doesn't want to do his own research. I mean, ChatGPT could have come up with a better submarine scene than this.
Yep.
Using the sub was absolutely smart. Because you'd use the sub, you'd have it launch a SAM rocket, which wouldn't be detected until it was already incoming. It would take the plane out, and then they could have blamed it on anybody, like they've been doing with the false flag attacks.
They wanted, right? Which is what they wanted. But dude, even the more I think about it now, the reason going like naval vessel with even a surface-to-air missile and not a nuke was a bad play is because any of those UN jets like that are probably equipped like Air Force 1 and 2 with countermeasures anyway. So a standard rocket attack probably would have been.
That's why you always fire 2, because
okay, fair enough.
For a shaft and a plane that big to do evasive maneuvers, it ain't
not getting out of 2.
It won't get out of 2.
This isn't White House down. I mean, let's be honest. That's not why. Dude, I hear they're making a 4th one of that. FYI, I've only seen 2 of them, but I hear they've got another one out. What was it? Not White House down. White House has fallen, and then London has fallen.
There's Olympus has fallen.
Olympus, that's what I was.
Olympus fallen, London's fallen, Angel's fallen.
That was Air Force 1.
Yeah.
I think there's a 4th one coming. I just wanted to throw that out there. We're in the topic of government jets going down like that. But either which way, if there's 7 people in the writers' room, right? Why don't you just have one guy write it and just pay 6 people to do the research? Have somebody be a military attaché for a while and interview some people. Have somebody run publicly accessible documents on what the White House looks like, or the plane would work, or how talk to somebody in the Navy. Like the codes are classified, but the procedure's not exactly classified. They teach an incoming class all that stuff every year for new recruits, do they not?
No, actually they don't. It's one person. It's a major, and he carries the football.
No. I mean, but the guys that are actually executing the procedure in the boat, the sailors themselves. Those guys are all trained to actually utilize.
Yeah.
Shit when it pops up.
Yeah, they do missile drills all the time. I mean,
that's what I mean. That shit's not top secret. The codes are top secret. Where that person with the football may be could be ferried into a secure location in the event some shit goes wrong. All that good stuff. But I mean, the guys, the grunts that are wearing the uniforms,
or you could leave them in a foreign country like one of our presidents did.
I mean, that's neither here nor there. Because apparently, as long as you're not really rude on Twitter, it's okay. But anyway, we're not going to that today. But yeah, dude, it's the more this didn't happen last week. Where after you and I kind of talked for a little bit, I was feeling better about the show. Now that you're coming down on it a little bit, I'm like, see, my gut was confirmed a little bit on this one. It's a short episode that, like you said, is filler. What exactly did they accomplish here? They stopped the strike, so I mean, there was that.
All you did, and he even said it at the end when he shoots Gaia. I would not say she died. I would say that she was shot, and then she changed herself, because if you go back to the trailer, there's a scene with her and Fury's wife back-to-back fighting, which we haven't seen yet.
That has not happened yet. All right, so it's either not her, or Skrulls can somehow take 45 ACP to the chest.
I'm saying she has a vest on because she knows what's going to happen, and then she changed herself.
And was it fake Skrull blood that she was bleeding through her t-shirt?
Could be.
I don't know.
Or that she
It
knew,
could-
or she got shot, but it wasn't a killing blow. Because, I mean, it was upper
Oof.
left torso.
It may have been a little high, but it's if you're gonna shoot somebody, that's kind of where you go. You know what I mean? You go to that general area.
I would go
A little higher.
six inches to the other direction.
So and vertically, you know what I mean? If you, a good shot to the nose will probably.
That would be
At
my
that range,
that would be my
probably do
third
ya.
shot. 2 to the chest,
a
1
hard-
to the head.
Yeah, it's a harder shot at night with in a low light environment. I mean, we all know that.
Yeah.
But
6,
yeah, and like we said, man, it's Marvel. She ain't dead.
less than 4 seconds. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head.
Blah, blah. That's how it's done. But let's talk about the Fury's wife scene, because I thought that was kind of a wild addition. Because we get the reveal, of course, in the previous episode that she's a Skrull.
Yep.
In the show, we're led to believe that we're led to believe by episode 2 that he might not have known it was up in the air. But by this episode, it's very clear
Yep.
that he knows she's a Skrull.
Because it was in the
opening of
flashback episode.
Yes. Which I thought was a pretty decent little scene.
Yeah.
I did kind of like that because it laid out some of the parameters of how the early iterations of S.H.I.E.L.D. were working, that there was a disconnect between the command and the rank and file, and that they couldn't be together. So there was some of that. She had kind of a clever retort to that, and he bought in because she was kind of cute, not going to lie.
Yeah,
This is Fury 30 years ago looking good.
Yeah, it laid out their relationship for
Right.
plain view.
Right. So when we fast forward to the end of the episode, then it kind of looked like he was back home. They kissed and made up in the previous episode. They're cooking dinner, doing their thing. Now they're having breakfast. But then they launch into let's hate Nick Fury for 3 consecutive episodes, because he definitely didn't get out of this episode not getting crapped on by everybody around him one more time. And now she lays on, and she's the one that has, I think, the most legitimate.
Yes.
Obviously, it's his wife.
His
But she very-
wife and abandoned, like she was a widow, then she wasn't a widow, and then
Right.
then
she was again.
she was a selective widow.
Right. But I thought she handled it kind of tough, where she said, there was no misconceptions here that being Nick Fury's wife meant that sometimes he might have to go and not say nothing. It was when you chose to stay away that left a mark.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so see, again, these guys are capable of hitting some notes in a fairly profound, if not too kind of purple prosy kind of way, because most people don't talk like that. But it's TV.
Yeah.
They can be dramatic and have some purple prose. That's fine. It wasn't too flowery. But I thought that was strong conversation when they're trying to sort that out in the kitchen, and dude just drinks some OJ and he's like, I'm motherfucking Nick Fury.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I thought that was another better part of the episode, I thought.
Yeah, and then you also had the reveal of her secret phone, or her normal phone, receiving phone calls.
And that's the part I want to get into. Go ahead.
Yeah. So she takes a phone call and she's like, I don't have information on that at this time. And then hangs up. And he's like, what's that about? He's like, my business. But then she leaves the phone behind. In front
I
of
guess
a
she didn't want to be
master spy.
Suspicious. I don't know. Would it not have drawn more attention to take it with you? I don't know. But you're right. It seems like a dumbass thing to do.
I mean, it just a lot of stuff
I don't know.
is just not making sense in this.
Right.
But I would say the antagonist or the protagonist dialogue or normal dialogue was great. Antagonist dialogue was basic and to the point. And then any type of military jargon or any other jargon was straight elementary in this whole episode.
I think I mainly agree with that, especially with the military stuff. I think that the dialogue between Fury and his wife is probably the best in the episode so far. I really didn't like anything he had to say to Talos while they were driving. Dude, the part when they were in the bar, when he's like, tell me you need me and that you're useless without me. Dude, I almost threw up in my mouth. That was some weak tea CW episode of like Batwoman season 3. Dude, that was terrible. As if Nick Fury wouldn't have been like, all right, then, motherfucker, and then gone and done some other shit, got in trouble, and then had Talos have to bail him out and be like, I told you couldn't do it without me. And then they begrudgingly shoot their way out of a spot. You know what I mean? Like, they had a disagreement at a bar, and Nick Fury had to go crawling back? Really? Come on, dude. No. Just no. Just no.
So yeah, I think that's the whole episode in a nutshell.
Whoa. Bank scene.
Okay. So we get back to the wife, and she gets a phone call at home, right?
Phone call. Yep, same phone.
And then no, it was a different phone because it wasn't the fold-out phone. That was
right.
That was a black phone.
Ah, you're right. That was the burner phone. Interesting.
Yeah. Yep, totally different phone. Because I noticed that too. I'm like, that ain't her paint phone.
That's
her
right.
paint folder.
Right. That's right. The first one was like a regular iPhone looking pink thing. You know what I mean? Like
it's the new Samsung Fold. That's what it's called.
Is that what it was?
Fold. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Something modern and not an obvious ripped off the rack burner phone kind of situation.
Simple product placement for money. Thank you, Samsung.
Not saying that I'm still not buying your $1,800 phone. My Galaxy, what is this, like a Ultra 22, whatever, S22 Ultra, suits me just fine. Thank you anyway. But anyway.
And Pixel 4 for me. Pixel 4, if you're wondering.
There you go, for good things. So she gets that phone call.
Yep.
I thought it was Rhodey. And then somebody else in another YouTube video said she gets the phone from Rhodey, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, all right, I thought it was Rhodey, but I could be wrong. I'm slow to arriving sometimes.
Voice. I might have just missed the voice that was talking. I thought
this
it was just her talking.
Situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
somebody spoke because they told her to meet them somewhere at a certain church at a certain time. It was 100% you could hear a voice. In that second call, absolutely you heard a male voice.
Yeah,
100%.
And that was, I think, the right-hand white guy from Garrick's
from Gravik.
base.
From Gravik, yep.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. The guy that was in with the doctor saying, like, our fearless leader's not always right. Like, that guy. That's who I thought it was, too. But then somebody else said it was Rhodey, and I was like, oh, that actually would make a whole lot of sense, I guess, because if she's a plant a plant for Rhodey, that could have always been a thing. She could be a plant for Gravik. We know there's a connection there because of their shared heritage or whatever.
Well, they also believe that she's the one that brought Gravik to Nick Fury in that flashback scene last week. She was the one who introduced Gravik to Fury.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In the promise
when he was young, when he was young, right?
Yeah.
Yep. True. Good point. Good call.
So, and then she's in there and she opens up safe deposit box. I turned to my wife over watching this. I'm like, I've always wanted one. I've always wanted one of these. The secret box. Yeah, and it was just there was an envelope underneath too that we didn't see what was inside.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought it was just the gun inside the manila envelope and she took the whole thing out and dumped it into her hand. There could be, I'm not saying you're right or wrong, because then the camera pans in a way where it doesn't, I think it's kind of inconclusive, and then that was it. They cut to credits.
And then she goes, I need to talk to Gravik. And he's like, it was pretty much like, you're
talking to me.
And he's right. I don't need to talk to you. And then she just kind of looks around, and then that's the end. Yeah. I was there when I was driving after watching it during lunch. I thought it was where Emily Clark's character died. Was it was the Baint scene. I thought the Baint scene happened before that. I got confused.
I think the bank was the end, because I think I remember because they wanted to go out on that whole. Well, wait a minute, who's she going to meet? Is she supposed
who's she going to go kill?
Exactly. And I'll say this, for as much as we've kind of dunked on this episode a little bit with it being kind of on the nose, like, I don't mind. See, this is the kind of ambiguity I like.
Yeah.
In a show about people that can shape change and that's built in a spy world. I don't mind that kind of chat because I'm pretty sure that the YouTube voice I heard was wrong. I think you're right. I don't think it was Rhodey. I think it was Gravik's number 2. And because we know he's a bit of a miscontent.
Yeah.
Like, is there a faction forming within the faction? Is he, he's setting her up to be at this church at this time because he knows the boss is going to be there and this is going to be a chance. He'll give her a code word or something, scratch the cheek twice. And then she's supposed to take a shot at Gravik, and then she dies, and then Fury does his Fury thing. Who knows? It could also work the other way. We're going to set up Fury to be there with a fake tip to get to the dirty bomb, which still hasn't been resolved because they definitely didn't set off a dirty bomb.
They did not set off a dirty bomb. It was a conventional
No dirty bomb confirmed. Conventional explosives. Anyway, they could just as easily be manipulating Fury to be somewhere to have her Skrull out and take a shot at him. And I like that about this. It, again, reminds me of Andor, when, Luthen Rail would be in any given place, and Andor knows this dude has a tendency to run a tight ship and tie up loose ends. If I didn't know Andor died in Rogue One, which is a criticism of prequel shows, I'd have always been, and the show's named after him, it's not The Mandalorian, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You always would fear for the safety of that character, because you're like, This guy doesn't fuck around. Like, he's for the cause 100%.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a zealot like Saw Gerrera, but if he thinks the cause is better served by you being dead quietly and cleanly, you're dead. We're not. I don't think this show. I don't think Secret Invasion has those chops.
No,
What do you think
I don't
about
think it does. Not with the run that it has.
It's too short. We said that. It's too
yeah,
short.
It's definitely too short to tell this story properly. But I mean, also, we are talking about trying to shove 98 comic books into 6 episodes.
Well, we're not, though. Remember what I said last week. The director, Ali Salim, sorry, we determined it was a male. That's my bad on calling him Ali. That he was told not to read it because this is literally, they just borrowed the title. They're legit telling their own story. And I think even being free of 98 comics or whatever it was, they still don't have enough time. They really don't. Because this shit's moving at kind of a breakneck pace for this kind of show, but it still only has 6 episodes. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's a lot of world building that we're not going to get. There's a lot of relationship building that could have been kind of built up a little bit. And I think that the more we pick away at some of these relationships and world building, the less I'm going to like the show when it's over. Like, consider this. Gravik's motivation, or do you like it more or less by episode 3 than you did when you started? Quick question. I mean, where are you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like that backstory?
I don't
give me a 10
know.
spot.
Yeah.
7? 5? I mean, you usually score easier than me.
Yeah.
So 6 or 7?
Yeah, I'd give it around there.
Okay. So hear me out. At the beginning, I think I was with you. I was like a 6 or a 7. Now I'm like a 3. Because I'm like, this is a grown dude whose motivation for planetary genocide is Fury didn't find me a new home. And here's how you fix that. What if the setup was that Fury said he was going to protect Gravik's father or something? They went on a job together, and only Talos Fury came back and Gravik's dad didn't. Then it's personal. Then it's like, dude, you got my dad, or he sells out Gravik's dad for whatever reason because it's a spy show. Then the stakes are personal. Now it's just, when I think about it, I'm like, it's this big, broad concept, and Gravik's like 30 fucking years old and acting like a little bitch. Like, get over it, dude.
You know what?
They're trying. You guys have space travel. You find a fucking planet.
You know what?
You know?
They do. They have FTL travel, which
Say
we
it!
don't.
Dude, we had one. We had one, and I think we blew it up in Captain Marvel, and we've got fucking Captain Marvel who's fucking off wherever she is.
Yeah, doing.
It ain't Fury's fault.
All she's doing is getting recast. So.
This is what I'm saying. So now I still like him as a character, but the world building in his backstory is now significantly weaker for me.
So what they could be doing, and it would fall right in line with Disney's current agenda. Gravik sees Fury as using the Skrulls as his own personal slaves.
Okay. I mean,
and that's what is making him Fury. They promised all this, and they didn't deliver, but yet they're still doing his dirty work. He's the one who would send to the ranks, not them. It was him who got all the glory, wasn't them. They didn't even get their home out of it. So they could be going with that because of Disney. Yeah, Disney's doesn't hide what they try to portray.
But to be fair, that's not a bad argument or a bad defense of his motivation as the villain.
I didn't say it was. I was just saying based on what I know Disney's doing, this could be the story they're going for. But
spelled out like that, I'm wavering a little bit back into increasing my appreciation for the world building and that particular bit of backstory. Because that could rub a young, discontented, displaced person the wrong way and be like, you know what, dude, we did everything you wanted, but like we're still bumming off of you. But I don't think genocide is the play. I think murdering Fury or the people closest to him is the play. And genocide still not the play because you still have FTL drives. Yeah. You could still do something.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is that they're there, they want to establish there, but also killing the humans, which Fury's purpose of making the Avengers, because he knew something was coming, was to protect the human race. And attacking the humans and killing them would hit Fury harder than just killing him, telling him that death for him would be too easy.
I mean, that's why you go the more personal route. I mean, the genocide of a species thing is global and
But
awful.
who do you hit in Fury? Fury's
Yeah,
wife is
because
even Skrull.
he's a ghost. Yeah, because he's a ghost. Yeah. I'll say this though, the one line we didn't talk about was the one where Talos tried to warn. It was Talos that tried to warn Gravik, where he was like, "You underestimate them. They're at their most dangerous when they're unified by a common foe."
Yeah.
And I was like, "To see, that's some superhero shit, because that's exactly how humanity wins in like every subgenre of fiction when we push come to shove. Lord of the Rings, Star Trek shit, Star Wars stuff, Battlestar shit. Like when you threaten us collectively, Independence Day, you threaten us collectively, and there's an ass kicking coming."
Yeah.
Like I'll ride out for that story every day. I love that.
Well, it was like the meme said, and I said it before the meme was even a thing. Like I want the 9/12 America back.
Yeah, dude, definitely. Yep, singing on the steps of Capitol Hill. Yeah. Because there was an ass kicking coming. Then there would be an ass kicking, and Talos is right. There's a thumping coming, if Gravik's able to pull off a certain degree of whatever attack he has planned. It may involve the Avengers, it may not.
No data coming across.
That's less than good.
But it says
now my phone is now buffering the stream.
Yeah.
Ruh-roh,
Shaggy.
my internet is still connected.
I'm back to normal.
It's just a quick buffer and glitch.
Yeah, everything's
apologize
back to
for any interruption.
Yeah, everything's back to normal now. Excellent connection
cool.
power. Yeah.
And thank you to Steve in the chat for the compliment on the breakdown. We appreciate you, bro. Thank you for stopping by. Big ups. Yeah, dude. The Talos basically blew up the whole blew up the reality right then and there. How does Gravik just not have his guys kill him? I mean, that's all right. You gotta go.
Now that scene, and I wanted to talk about this earlier, and I just thought about it since we came back to it, is like the way you could have played that scene so much better is like Talos to be like, we're going to stop you, and then have them all turn into him. It's like, you just stop me, but you can't stop all of us. The movement keeps moving. Yeah,
that's dope. That gives me shades of like Agent Smith from the Matrix, where it's like there's me, but also me, and me, and more. Like that kind of thing. That was cool, and that's where I thought that scene was going. Like, dude, in that moment, that first instance where they all changed into Gravik, like that's a pretty good flex. That's a strong visual that gets the message across. Like, dude, we are Legion, and I'm showing you we are Legion. You know what I mean? But then, like, he shanks him with a butter, not even a steak knife. He shanks him with a butter knife. Nobody does shit.
It was cool to see him heal, too, so you have to think that...
Oh, yeah. Dude, that was extremist. He's already used it. He's already used the machine, 100%.
Yep.
So when Gravik throws down next, he's going to rough Talos up.
Yeah.
That's coming. And I wouldn't be surprised if they kill him. I think he actually catches a death here.
It would have to play that either him or Fury would have to die at the end of this.
And that's what I see. I think it's going to be mark it. I think it's going to be Talos in episode 5, and it's going to set up the final showdown for 6. That's how I think this is going down. I don't think that, unless you've heard anything rumor-wise coming out of the usual suspects, I don't think we're getting the double-length episode at the end. I don't know if you've heard anything different.
I haven't heard anything. It's all speculation. I was there looking on there, and it's like, you can't find the show links before release date anywhere. No.
It's like the book of Secrets of National Treasure.
Yeah.
Like, you have to actually be there and have it handed to you by, like, the president stepping down kind of thing. True that. That's how that goes. Which I think is too bad. I'd like to be able to give more information to folks ahead of time on the show, especially if they're not catching it week to week like we do. Dude, I'll say this: I've run into more than a couple of people that have said the only reason they're not watching this show now is because they hate the week to week thing. They're so spoiled by the Netflix model, of the Stranger Things content dump, that folks are just going to wait. It's only a month and a half. It's only 6 episodes. It's not really. If you don't follow this stuff online like we do, you're not really going to run into any big spoilers that are going to ruin anything.
Yeah.
So if you can't handle the week to week, you just take a weekend. You get a weekend up when the show is done, and you just kind of make a movie night out of it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that are
1 day, 3 on Sunday.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that are waiting to binge it, kind of like the Andor, like Disney Plus, Amazon. They've gone back to that week to week network TV type model, which
makes some money. Makes
people come back in and keeps people subscribed, which Disney's been hemorrhaging subscribers for a while, and they still haven't got that show yet. show that brings them in. Like Stranger Things will bring people back to Netflix.
Could have been The Mandalorian.
Could have been. It was The Mandalorian at first.
That's what I said. Could have been going forward.
Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, even some of my
season 2 finale. Dude, season 2 finale.
Yes.
Boom. Season 3 in February with certain news about people being released from the cast. Not so boom. Not so boom at all. But that's a topic for a different show.
Yep.
Dude, we got anything else on Secret Invasion episode 3? Do we want to do scores? I know we haven't been doing scores.
We did do a halfway score. We did do halfway score. Halfway through.
Episodes 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, we'll do halfway score. Halftime
what's
score.
What's the scale?
Because we are.
This is halftime, right?
Yep, halftime. So I would.
You call the scale. We're doing out of 5, out of 10.
Let's go 5.
Okay. You know what? No, veto. Executive veto.
Okay.
5's too easy because both of us will just pick 3. It's happened way too much. Let's go 10 with decimals if necessary. 10 with decimals if necessary. And you go first.
I'm still going with 3. I was going to go 2.5 out of 5.
Whoa. You're going 3 out of 10?
Yes.
So you're coming in big low at halftime.
Yep.
Wow.
First half was very underwhelming.
Woo! Okay. Dude, honestly, we've done a few of these shows. Was not expecting that. because it's weird because typically I'm the guy that grades hard. Now I got to see from me, I got to grade it out to how much I actually like episode 2. Now I got to figure that out. Because episode 1 was pretty good. I think episode 2, dealing with the fallout of Agent Hill, dealing with the fallout of the explosions, the terror attack, a little bit of world building about what Gravik's building at the compound was kind of cool. His hand-to-hand shit at the end. Dude, I was digging that. The MI6 spy chopping dude's finger and doing the interrogation. That had some money moments to it. The Russian mob was pretty good. Dude, I'll give it a 4 on the basis of that alone. Because again, I'm going to use my bus stop analogy for this episode. I think I'm gathering up my things. I'm looking to make sure my kid didn't leave his Switch on the seat. You know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to buy another Switch. And I think I'm reaching for the core. I'm going to make an unexpected stop and then go walk in the park or something. Because they got to come strong at episode 4.
I'm invested in it now because there's only 3 more episodes. I mean, what's 3 more weeks?
Yeah, right. That's what I mean.
It takes out less than an hour. I mean, especially if it stays with the current runtime. But this episode was very disappointing. Like, even episode 1, for how good it was mediocre at best.
Yeah, true. That's what I'm saying. I think episode 2 was so strong for me because it had multiple small elements that I liked that it comes out stronger. But I agree. I haven't seen anything in any episode that's blown me away.
Yeah. So that's why I'm coming in at 3. It's not the show that everyone hoped it for, and it's definitely not the show Marvel was hoping for.
I think you're right, man. I don't know if I think it was the thumbnail for one. I think it was the thumbnail for episode 2, where I was like, it's got this show collectively through the first 2 weeks is significantly lower than every other show they've done except Ms. Marvel. And I honest to God, again, I hand to God think that show just got a bad rap just in terms of timing with a not a very popular hero that they put on screen. But the show itself, and I'll say this again, for any of you folks that are looking for something family-friendly from Marvel that doesn't have a whole lot of modern agenda being crammed into your kid's face about identities and such, it's a show about a girl who finds some powers, who's got a kind of a checkered relationship with her parents. Her dad's a good guy. Her mom's a strict Pakistani mother who just wants the best for her daughter, but is like right down the line. You have to do this, and this. But they kind of grow and they kind of bond into each other as the show goes, and you realize Mama Bear is just being Mama Bear, and it's just good stuff. But it gets its bad rap because she's such a crap comic character that it just is what it is. But the star is super likable. But that's a topic for another show. Maybe someday you watch on Ms. Marvel. So that's a 3.5 for King Z for halftime on Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
And Winter Wolf, I think, is going to go a strong 4. I can't go any higher than that. And dude, honestly, predictions. I don't think this show lands much higher than a 6 because I don't know how they can blow me away going forward. And what else do they do? They blow me away with Gravik superpowers? I just don't care. I've seen it.
The best thing I could say with this show, and it would be way over the top.
That's the best part.
Because nothing has been released on this. Like no casting, no nothing like that. But if they can come up with at the end you see, because of the powers that I talked about and who these powers represent, you have Doom come at the end.
Now, see, again, I love the idea as a fan, but as somebody looking at the business of what they're going to do, I think you're dead ass right on your own prediction. It's too over the top.
Too way
and
over
because
the top.
this shows, and even if they've already filmed, and they have to have already filmed it, obviously, because the show's in the can, I think if they have that, if you're right about that, I think they cut that and they saved that for the Marvels. Even I don't. I mean, that's going to bomb also, but they saved that for something else where it's going to punch. They saved that for Captain America 4, whatever it is, Brave New World, and that's the stinger.
But
you know what I mean?
What I'm going to tell you is going to happen based on see the rest of the 3 episodes. We're going to see the president assassinated.
Yep.
Because we know Thunderbolt Ross becomes president in the next movie that's coming out, that they're filming now.
Oh, so, good point. Actually, good point. Yep.
So we do know that this president is either assassinated or turns out to be a Skrull.
Yep.
And we're going to see either the end of Nick Fury completely in Marvel, and we're going to see Talos die. And we'll probably see, I know Gaia will survive, and she's probably going to take on a role as one of the super Skrulls that, I forgot the actual character's name in the comic books, but she's going to carry on, and she's going to have a recurring role coming up.
All right. I think that could make for a good strong, like, penultimate episode. Like, if the president's assassinated, Talos dies, and Fury's framed for the whole thing. Like, I mean, dude's still on the run anyway. That's the thing. Like, he's already still a wanted criminal as of right now, right?
Yeah, and there is a line in the previews where Rhodey's once again talking with Fury and tells him he's the most wanted man in the world right now.
Right, that's what I mean. So I mean, I think that's good. I'll say this, and then we'll bounce so we don't go too far over. Episode 4 can't fuck around. They need to get into it. The runtime needs to be an hour. They need to move volume in this next episode. There can't be any dicking around with what the stakes are, with any kind of walking anything back that's happened. Like if Agent Hill shows up in this episode or something stupid, I mean, like, then just put the whole thing away. Like, box up the whole thing, put it away. There can't be any stakes if people can just die and come back less than 48 hours later. You know what I mean? So I hope they don't do that. Anything weird like that.
They need the super Fury tipping point. Agent Hill dying's one of them. Him being punked by his wife, by Talos, by Rhodey. And we know what's going to happen. He's going to go back to his grave, and he's going to
gear up.
And you're going to see the whole montage.
We need a montage.
Where he puts the eye patch on. He cocks a gun.
Yep.
And he puts the black trench coat back on. And then he comes walking out.
Dude, we need the John Wick moment. Dude, you're so right. And I thought we got that with the Range Rover, or the Land Rover, whatever it is. But it's not enough.
No.
And they don't. The clock is ticking on the clock ticking.
Because we only have 3 more episodes. I mean,
3 guys. 3. We got 3 left. And I know King Z is going to be there next Wednesday because we don't do shit all else on Wednesday night anyway. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed our breakdown of Secret Invasion Episode 3. I know I enjoyed it, even though I didn't really enjoy the episode as much. And I think King Z is a little down on it, too. So we're going to cut him some slack on being a Debbie Downer this week. But we'll see you guys next week, 9:30 Eastern for Secret Invasion Episode 3. But we'll see you tomorrow, same time, for Winter's Watch, because we have some news we want to get into on a couple of movies that are doing all the right things and nobody in Hollywood's talking about them, and that's sad because it's dominating box office.
It's starting to get close, it's starting to get personal, and it's starting to get emotional.
All right, you've been warned, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 9:30 in Winter Wolf's Den. Laters.